Each and every Monday is $9 Monday at both WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com. When all daily picks packages are priced at only $9, including 5% best bets, normally priced at $35. As an added bonus, any picks packages loaded early for Overnight Tuesday or action during the week will also be priced at $9 until midnight on Monday. So make sure to take advantage of getting these $25 and $35 picks for only $9 before the clock strikes 12 and they return to regular price.
Welcome into the NBA Tip-Off Show here at WagerTalk TV. I'm Megan Payton. Alongside me today, I have Tony Finn, Steve Merrill, and prop god Andy Lang to break down the NBA slate. We're taking a break from March Madness. There are 6 games up on the association. We've got contrarian plays of the day, featured, overtime, best bets, and dogs. But first, let's go and get and see what our panel has in store for us. Andy Lang, start us off. What do you have at WagerTalk.com?
Hey, Megan, it's a beautiful Monday. Happy to be here. Happy to have you here as well. I think, what do I have and want to promote? So what's been going good for us? UFC 5% play hit again. That's 7-0 on 4% and 5% UFC best bets. So we have a 5% play that's up for $9 Monday. That's going really well. And then, NHL hockey is going pretty good, but honestly, some of these more, I don't want to say obscure sports, but 3-0 on women's college basketball over the weekend on Sunday, 2-0 in men's lacrosse last week. We're the only ones doing lacrosse on Wager Talk, on a 10-0 run in soccer. So I know most people know me by some of these sports that are a little bit off the radar, and that's because they're highly profitable. So right now we have a lacrosse play that's up for $9. We have a UFC 5% play that is up for $9, and I would encourage you to go get those. They've been hitting at astronomical rates.
It's the time when everyone's all in on March Madness. Andy Lang finding value in the more obscure, we'll call them, sports. Steve Merrill, how are you this afternoon?
Megan, doing well. And don't forget it's $9 Monday at wagertalk.com. And as Andy and Tony know, I've never been a believer in $9 Monday. I've always thought it should be better. So I made $4.50 Monday by making a 2-for-1 special, 2 best bets for $9. And don't forget, any advanced game is also $9. I bring that up because I just loaded an advanced college basketball Sweet 16 best bet, which goes later this week. Get it right now for $9 because it's going to be substantially more after Monday. $9 Monday, Steve Merrill, wagertalk.com.
Tony Finn, finish up here.
Yes.
What do you have at wagertalk.com?
What I have is I have a small card tonight, but like Steve, like they all know, I believe that as soon as you tell people that you are the next best thing to sliced bread, then you have to tell them how bad you are too on certain nights. So I just choose to play to try to take that middle road, and this is what I got. I like it, and I have 2 NBA plays. One of them I will give you during the show as a best bet, as a best bet or as a dog, one of the two. I'll decide which one. And college, I've had in 9 seasons college basketball March Madness here at Wager Talk. I've had 8 winning seasons. Last year was my first sub positive bottom line season. This year, been kind of hit and miss. I've lost an awful lot of 3-pointers. Basically nothing burger 3-pointers or layups during games, and missed by a half a point, 1 point here or there, which, listen, our job is to stay away from those games that are going to be close and pick the games that are going to be easy peasy, right? I haven't done a great job this year, but we're still trying. And I do have some, like Steve, I'm going to have some plays up this afternoon. It'll be forward plays, be for this weekend. They will be $9 until midnight tonight. So only at Wager Talk can you get Tony Finn's, what's the word for it? Let's just say good stuff. I like it. So come get it. Yeah.
We're lucky to have these 3 guys here at the NBA Tip-Off Show, and you can check out more of them at wagertalk.com. Let's talk contrarian gods. Contrarian play of the day. The gods say Take the Timberwolves. Plus 8.5. Minnesota heads to New York, taking on the Knicks. Tip off at 7:40 p.m. Eastern. Knicks laying 8.5. Minnesota, can they do it here? Totals at 227.5. The injuries are what concerns me in this one. Rudy Gobert, Naz Reid, game time decision for the Wolves. Also, Anthony Edwards, listed as questionable with the ankle injury. Yesterday, we saw him in a boot. I'm not too confident that Edwards is going to be out there. I can't find a way to back Minnesota if they're not going to have their leading scorer in Anthony Edwards, who's averaging over 24 points per game. He's also one of their top facilitators here. I'm going against the gods. Tony Finn, do you agree with the contrarian here?
No, I don't agree with the contrarian here. I mean, that's a lot of points to get, but without Edwards, I'll give you an example of what Minnesota is, how distant they are on my radar. And I finally stepped out the other day and played this Minnesota team. I played a prop. I played Edwards. He has become much more of a facilitator as he's grown into his role there. As you mentioned, Megan, really not only 25 a game, but his assists have grown and grown and grown. And you could get his over 5 assists for plus money this weekend. But I played the 3.5 at minus 160, and he played 8 minutes because he decided to twist his ankle in the game. And let me tell you, I've had a lot of those props fall the wrong way for me this year, but that's part of the game. Minnesota, I said it once. You weren't the host, Megan. I don't believe you were, but I said they're basically a nothing burger team. If this team finds their way to the playoffs, they're one and done. They're out in the first round. I don't care who they're playing. I don't care if they're playing OKC. I don't care if they're playing the up and coming. And tonight, plus 9 points is a lot, or minus 9 points is a lot to lay with this Knicks team. But this Knicks team's healthy, and this Minnesota team is not. Give me the Knicks and MSG tonight, despite the fact you got to lay the wood.
I agree, Tony. One argument here. Yeah. Minnesota has no room for error. And if there's one team that needs this more, it's the Minnesota Timberwolves. They sit 2 games below 500, fighting for a play-in spot as they're 9th in the West. Knicks, meanwhile, 5th in the East. Not as much at stake here. Steve, are you backing with the contrarian gods at plus 8.5 Minnesota?
No, you're right, Megan. I mean, Minnesota needs this game, but you can also make the argument they've needed the past few games, right? And they've gone 1-5 straight up, 0-3 straight up the last 3. So I guess the question is, when do they start playing up to their abilities? Because they have been an underachiever this year. This is a team a lot of people had as a play-on team when the season began. Now they sit 2 games below 500 with just 10 games remaining. Surprisingly, they're just 33-37 ATS. You would think they'd be a lot worse since they were kind of a hype team coming in. The Knicks on the other side of the coin are one of the best point spread teams in the league. They're currently sit around, depending on your opening or closing lines, this might vary a bit, but I've got them at 40-29 ATS with 3 pushes. And right now that would be the 5th best point spread record in the league. Only teams higher, by the way, percentage-wise, Oklahoma City Thunder, the best point spread team the last 2 years, Philadelphia, Milwaukee, and Sacramento, who's been a huge surprise team. So New York's been a good moneymaker, but that is exactly what makes this a contrarian call. Not a game I'll be involved in. I do lean Minnesota here. Like you said, they need to play better, keep waiting them for them to play better. Maybe we see that tonight. I think the line is a little bit inflated based on recent results.
The Knicks have won 3 of their last straight. Minnesota lost their last 3. Minnesota lost this last matchup to the Knicks 120-107. Andy Lang, all signs pointing to Minnesota here. Any player props that you can eye for us in this matchup?
Yeah, I'm going to look at Rudy Gobert over 24.5 points, rebounds, and assists. His nickname might as well just be questionable. I don't think that they've changed questionable for the entire season. It's just always him and Reed, always questionable. It's kind of crazy. So, listen, I don't know how Edwards plays tonight. And so without him, they lose a ton of athleticism, ton of scoring, and has to go somewhere. And I think Gobert gets an increase in stats short term here. So he's had 29 PRA against Toronto. And then the game before that, he had 41 PRA. That was a double overtime game, but he still got there in regulation. Centers have done pretty good against the Knicks. The Knicks rank for the season really high in defending centers, but Jokic, Anthony Davis had big games. Even Nurkic had a big game, and Gobert is going to have to play big minutes as Mitchell Robinson and Hartenstein can be really tough inside. They're going to need Gobert inside a lot So he's got to stay out of foul trouble. A little surprised at this number at 24.5. So I think just by hook or by crook and by them needing him to be inside and with as many stats that are available without Edwards, he gets over this 24.5. He had a surprise 3 assists last game. So I look for a similar stat line from last game. I believe he had 29 PRA. I'd look for him to hover around that 30. So I'll take Gobert over.
I'd expect Rudy Gobert and Naj Reid to both play. Anthony Edwards, though, should be out. This is going to be an interesting one against a hot Knicks team tip-off at 7:40 p.m. Eastern. Let's switch over to our featured game of the night. We're looking at the Dallas Mavericks at Memphis Grizzlies. Tip-off at 8:10 p.m. Eastern. Grizzlies -5, total 226.5. We were hoping to see Grizzlies star John Morant back out there now that he is eligible after serving his 8-game suspension. He will not be a go tonight, wanting him to ramp up some conditioning before they get him back out there. Mavs, Kyrie Irving, game time decision, but the big news for the Mavericks is Luka Doncic is ruled out with that left thigh strain. They were also hoping to get Doncic back tonight. I'm going to back the home team here. The Grizzlies are the best home team in the NBA, and the Grizzlies are 21-12-1 against the spread at home. Steve, any thoughts on this matchup out in Dallas, or out in Memphis, that is?
Well, you're right, Megan. Those injuries, I mean, Kyrie questionable, Luka out, definitely have moved this number. I mean, it opened as low as 1.5 Memphis. It shot up a few hours ago, 3.5, 4. Now it's up to 5 across the board. So we're getting some value, I think, with Dallas at +5 or more, even with the shorthanded lineup. I'd like to see Kyrie go. Without him, this line probably goes even higher. I think that's somewhat priced in. He's likely to play still. But this has moved quite a bit. I think it's a little bit of an overreaction. Memphis, of course, the last several seasons without Morant's been as good, if not better. They've actually had a better record without him for a few years now, which does make me question how great he really is. I think he's a talented player, but Memphis has been able to win without him. It's a fairly quick revenge matchup. They just played exactly 1 week ago last Monday. And keep in mind, Memphis was a 3.5-point road favorite and won that game easily by 16. They also won the game 2 nights earlier than that at home as a 4.5-point favorite by 4. So that's similar to this price range. I think the double revenge actually works here, not only because Dallas will be focused. I think it's more so Memphis might overlook Dallas without Luka, especially after just beating them twice within the past week or so.
The Grizzlies do have the top defensive team in the NBA, and Dylan Brooks might be getting public heat, pushed a cameraman, starting beef. We got Klay Thompson involved in the trash talking, but the guys at Memphis, they love him. He's tough. He plays with high intensity. He's going to push. He's going to shove. I don't know if Dallas's offense can stick with that, stick up with this Memphis Grizzlies defense. Andy Lang, anyone's catching your eye in this matchup?
You're going to have to wait and see what the final lineups are. I mean, the Kyrie situation, you just got to wait and see exactly if he's going to play. So I wouldn't fire away on any props until we see Kyrie. I mean, when you look at the Mavericks without Kyrie, they struggled to get to 100 points. And then when they have Kyrie, Kyrie goes for 38 without Doncic in there. So if Kyrie is in there, I would expect it to be a little bit higher scoring. And if it's higher scoring, then the Grizzlies are going to have to play their starters, and I would look to Tyus Jones over his assists. He's been very up and down in his assist category, and when they last played without Kyrie and Luka, he only had 3 assists. That's because he didn't need to do anything. The Grizzlies blew him out with scoring only 108 points. But when the games with the Grizzlies are really close, he's getting into double digits. I believe he had 10 assists last game. So if this game looks to be close, if Kyrie's going to be playing in here and we look to see some points, look at Tyus Jones, who's done a really nice job running the offense, scores when he needs to score, but he's done a really nice job being the facilitator for Memphis while John Morant is out.
Potentially an over here, 226.5. Memphis right now won 5 of their last 6. Mavs have only won 4 of their last 10. From a series perspective, Memphis leads 2-1. This is the last meeting. Can the Mavericks get it done, Tony Finn?
Yeah, I think they can. I think they can for several reasons here. I mean, I could talk about this for probably an hour, and that is what Sacramento finally. For the last 2 weeks, I've been saying, listen, the Kings are going to overtake Memphis for the second spot as far as the seeding, the standings in the Western Conference. But maybe more importantly in this situation is that Memphis is a much better team at home than away. We can talk about that as well as we don't have Golden State on our list today to talk about. But my goodness gracious, right? This team disappears when they hit the road. Memphis has a substantial at this point in time. Is this important to them? Because it needs to be important to them if they're going to play guys like Jackson, who's hurt. And I don't think Jackson will play tonight. With or without Jackson, this team's about the same. They're 3 points better offensively without Jackson, but they're 3 points worse, at least metrically, defensively without Jackson, and what he's able to do from his position and who he's able to guard as opposing teams. Very versatile, very talented guy. He's been on fire, right? Averaging 25 since Morant's been out, et cetera, et cetera. Irving will play. Come on. Irving will play. He was hurting with his foot injury on Friday night when he scored 38 against the Lakers. So it was 35, 38, something like that. Had a great game. And the last time they played was Friday, as I mentioned. So 2 days off. He's playing tonight. This Dallas team's in a different situation than Memphis. They are sitting on that bubble, that sixth, they're 11 and a half games behind the Nuggets, okay? However, the difference between sixth seeding, which is Dallas, and the 12th seed, New Orleans Pelicans, is a total of 2 games. So that's a pretty big group of teams, the Mavs and the Warriors, Thunder, Timberwolves, Lakers, Utah Jazz, Pelicans. All those teams are right there for that play-in game or to stay out of that play-in game. Very important game for Dallas. Dallas is a big live dog, in my opinion, tonight.
Earlier this morning, Grizzlies were -2.5. Luka gets ruled out. Grizzlies -5 now. Let's switch over to overtime. Time to talk some totals. Our overtime game of the night, the Sacramento Kings, shocker there, at the Utah Jazz. Tip-off at 9:10 p.m. Eastern. Kings -6.5. Total opened at 238.5. It's currently at 238.5. The Kings lead the league in points per game, 121 points. And the last 2 previous meetings between the Kings and the Jazz, the over-under has split. 232 in the first, 251 in the second. Andy Lang, from a total perspective, are you riding with one here, or are you going to eye a prop?
Well, of course, we're going to eye a prop, and this is a dynamite one. I almost use this as my best bet. Shout out to our chat room. Great chat room as always. Los Pablo is asking for 5 props for tonight. This is one that you can certainly add. I'll give you this one and another best bet. There's 2 really good ones. Take a look at Kelly Olynyk over 10.5 rebounds plus assists without Lauri Markkanen. That's a big, big hole in the middle of that Jazz team. So last 3 games without Lauri Markkanen, he's flown over. He's had 12, 20, and 15. And, the game with 12 was back in December, but the most recent 2 were February 15th and March 5th. So those are recent. I think that's a pretty good sample size to get 20 and 15. And even with Markkanen in the lineup, Olynyk has gone over his last 2 games. He had 12 against Miami, well over against Boston. Sacramento, 25th worst defense against power forwards. So I would look at Olynyk over his rebounds and assists. Great spot for him tonight.
Yeah, we're waiting to hear some updates on these injuries. The Jazz know that Clarkson's going to be out, Sexton's out, Lauri Markkanen questionable as of now. The over is 6-0-1 the last 7 for Utah. For the top offensive team in Sacramento, they've only hit over 240 points in 2 of their last 10 games. Tony Finn, where do we stand here? Over or under?
Well, I would say over. I would think this would be a nice game to watch, a fun game to watch, especially if you're not vested in the game in one way or another. However, I can't play over without Markkanen, and I have Markkanen as out. I was told he would be out. Now I'm looking. You mentioned that, and he has been officially ruled out now. By the way, so let's just. I just checked a website that I trust. He's out. Clarkson, Markkanen, Sexton, all out. There's still question marks on Herter and Lyles for Sacramento, but while that's not as important, Markkanen is pretty important to this team. Metrically, and there's been quite a few. I mean, Markkanen's missed 7, 8, close to 10 games, so it's not a sample size that's not reliable. It is. They're about 7 points worse without Markkanen. And 7 points is a pretty big number when you have a total that's, stretching close to 240, right? What is the number? Right currently, is it 238? What is it? Where do they have it at?
It's still 238.5. It hasn't shifted.
Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah, I'm surprised it hasn't shifted. Markkanen's that important. and maybe this is recent, and maybe we'll see a shift. Maybe we'll see some numbers, sharps come in and play some unders in this. We'll find out. But normally I would say, listen, I'm all in. I'm all in with you guys. This is going to be a high-scoring, high-flying, fun game to watch. Without marketing, I'm not playing over to almost 240. I'm just not going to do it. Heck, with marketing, it takes a lot for me to push it.
Steve, should we hold off right now? Should we get a better price if we do want to ride the over? It's still at 238.5, but marketing officially ruled out.
Yeah, it's interesting. Like you said, Megan, we haven't seen anything light up, at least on the Wager Talk live odds screen. And in fact, some of the leading indicator books worldwide have a 239 still. So there's a little bit of a sharp lean still to the over here. And I think it makes sense. The over is the only way I would play this game. What jumps out to me is that Utah, their last four you mentioned, they've really gone over almost every game in the last few weeks, but the last four have definitely gone over. And all four of those games, overall, they held their opponents to their season average. Utah's defense was either as good or better than their overall season average, and they actually shot below their season average offensively in three of their four games, yet all four went over. So what that tells you is that the Jazz are playing fast. And if they regress any on D, which I think they might, this game should fly over the total tonight. So I think that's the only way to play it.
Sacramento Kings at Utah Jazz. Tip off at 9:10 p.m. Eastern. Currently 238.5. Maybe wait it out if you like the over on this one. It's time to talk some dogs. The dogs of the day, one of the best parts of the NBA tip-off show. Let's see who's barking at everyone.
That's my dog. That's my dog. That's my dog. That's my dog. And anybody got to say anything, you let me know. That's my dog.
Chicago, Charlotte, Minnesota, Houston, Dallas, and Utah. Those are the dogs of the day. And Steve, you have to start us off. Give us a dog that's barking at you.
Oh, why do I have to start off? There's not too much to choose from here with just 6 games, but I actually have some best bets that are dogs tonight, so I'm going to skip over those. I'll get to one I thought was interesting here, and it makes me a little bit nervous, obviously, back in the Houston Rockets, and it's not because it's the Houston Rockets, Robert, so don't buzz me. Our producer, Robert, a loyal fan. It makes me nervous because the Warriors should be extra focused tonight off of 3 straight losses on the road. But they've also lost 3 in a row straight up in ATS, and now we're asking them to win by more than double digits, or by double digits, by more than 11. It's impossible to win by more than double digits. That would be an NBA first. But this is a really bad road team, as Tony Finn referenced earlier. Not only are they 7-29 straight up on the road, they're 9-27 against the number. And then you contrast that to the fact that they're 29-7 straight up at home, 25-11 against the spread. This is going to go down because we're only about a few weeks away. This is going to go down as the most extreme home road dichotomy I've ever seen in the NBA. So it's not that I necessarily want Houston. They're actually playing hard still, so I don't mind that. But I cannot lay more than 11 on the road with a 7-29 straight up team. So I'll take the Rockets and fade the Warriors tonight.
Let's stick with Rockets here. Tony Finn, you've got Houston as your dog of the day as well, right?
Yes, yeah. Listen, Steve, spot on. Golden State, not only the last 3, but 0-11 straight up. 0-11 against the number, last 11 road games. The loss to Memphis on Saturday night, if you watch the Warriors, they just like they have no energy away from home. I don't know. A lot of their losses, both straight up and against the spread, were earlier in the season when Coach Kerr was this Golden State team's fairly metrically oriented, and they're heavy metrically. They have third-party companies who basically go through the schedule and Kerr wants to know this: when do I play guys that need rest, back-to-back situations? And most all of those have been away from home, very loyal to this fan base. And when they're at home, typically they're at full strength if they can be. And if the third-party consulting firm says this is a great situation not to play this player, and this is why, et cetera, et cetera. Part of why they've been so bad on the road is the lineups they've started the game with, or those who've been inactive or active. So that said, listen, Houston's still in that contention for that worst record in the NBA, although I don't think they're going to make it because 6-4 against the spread in March, catching 10 points, 11 points against a team that is covered, as Steve so eloquently verbalized, 25% of its road games. So you're going to lay 11 on a team that's covered 25% of road games. I'm going to be contrary I'm going to be contrary to you. Give me Houston plus the points.
I'm with both of you here, and I think this is music to our producer, Robert's ears, who's a Houston Rockets fan. Sorry, Robert, this isn't going your way, but we will fade Golden State. Andy Lang, any other values on the dogs of the day?
Yeah, I think this is the pretty the Houston's obvious one. So I'll go with little outside, little off the beaten path here. Give me the Utah Jazz to cover, simply because this could be a really big look ahead spot for the Sacramento Kings. I mean, they're coming off of 3 straight road wins. This is their 4th road game in a row, and then they come back with 2 games at home. The first one's tomorrow against Boston, who is ripe to be beaten right now. They're struggling mightily. And then they get a home game against Phoenix. So wouldn't surprise me if Sacramento really was looking ahead and said we could get some big wins against Boston and Phoenix here, 2 notable teams that should make noise in the playoffs. So maybe a little bit of a look ahead spot. You've got some guys on Utah that are excited to get out there and play. Taylor Horton Tucker has loved getting more minutes and more shots. So maybe they keep this game close. Sacramento comes out a little bit flat in their last road game and last 4 games. So yeah, I'll maybe a little sprinkle on the Utah Jazz.
Utah Jazz, Houston Rockets. Those are the dogs the panel are choosing today. Let's switch over to best bets. Best bets. The rules are simple. 60 seconds on the clock. The panel can do whatever they'd like with it, but they've got to give us a best bet. They've got to get out in time. Steve Merrill will have you start us. 60 seconds begins now.
It is $9 Monday. $9 Monday at WagerTalk.com. I've got a 2-for-1 NBA special, both best bets for $9. That makes it $4.50 Monday. I've also got advanced college basketball best bets as well. These go later this week, so you can only get them for $9 on Monday. So lock in right now. Not only get NBA, but also Sweet 16 action for $9 Monday, WagerTalk.com. Let's look at a bonus free play in the NBA games tonight. Game that was just a bit outside for making the cut. I like the over 238.5 between the Kings and Jazz, the late game at 9 p.m. Eastern. Utah has gone over in 6 of their last 7 games. And what's impressive during this 4 straight overs is that they've actually held their opponents to decent defensive numbers. Utah's defense has been above average the last 4 based on their seasonal ratings. Their offense has been below their average seasonal rating. They've still gone over the total. That tells me they're playing extremely fast, and it continues tonight. Utah, Sacramento over 238.5, a free NBA opinion. 2 strong best bets plus advanced Sweet 16 games. $9 Monday. Steve Merrill, WagerTalk.com.
Perfect timing, Steve. We appreciate all your hard work here at NBA Tip-Off Show. Andy Legg, I'm begging for a prop right now. Do you have a player prop as your best bet? Your 60 seconds starts now.
Absolutely, we got a prop here. Yeah, $9 Monday, 5% UFC play. That is up. We've hit 7 in a row on our UFC best bets. Those are our 4% and 5% plays. Go grab that. We also have a men's lacrosse. We're 2-0 since we started putting in plays last week. Expect to cash that. That is up. NBA play is up as well. Best bet, Dennis Smith Jr. over 10.5 rebounds and assists. I'm kind of surprised that the Pacers and Charlotte game wasn't the overtime game. There's going to be so many points this game. Neither team has held a team under 114 points in their last 4 games. So expect fireworks. Take Dennis Smith Jr. over 10.5 rebounds and assists. He's played a bunch of minutes the last 3 games with this Hornets rotation. He's played 32, 32, and 37. That has translated into 15, 12, and 13 rebounds and assists in those 3 games. I love that he's had 7, 8, and 8 assists those last 3 games. He should be able to duplicate that in a high-scoring game, throw in a couple rebounds, and get Dennis Smith Jr. over 10.5 rebounds and assists.
We'll let it go. It was such a good prop that you're 2 seconds over, Andy Lang. We will let slide. Tony Finn, you have 60 seconds, and your time starts now.
I'm going to go to same game Angie went to, Sacramento Utah game. Maybe not the same game, but a game similar. This is supposed to be a really high scoring game. Yada yada yada. I've said it once. I've said it 100 times, and that is in total is about 238, 242 in that range, or even higher. We've had a few. It's not that everything has to go right for the total to go over. One thing can go wrong, and the total won't go over. And I mean that sincerely. So sometimes it's overwhelming. Sometimes it's obvious. What I find obvious is this, and without marketing, officially being ruled out. This team is at least 7 points worse metrically per 100 possessions. I think it's even more than that. I think it could be as much as 10. And the Kings are playing for the number 2 seed, tied with Memphis. They will get this number 2 because they will stretch it out early in the next 5 games. The Kings, minus a big number, they're not overvalued here. Kings, minus 6.5 over the Utah Jazz.
Great stuff from all of our panel. Andy Lang, Tony Finn, Steve Merrill with their best bets, their dogs of the day. Here's today's picks recap. Feel free to take a screenshot of this page so you can go and place your bets as this show wraps up. 6 games on the slate for the NBA tip-off show. March Madness still around. The madness is getting crazier, but let's find some angles. NBA show. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time here at Wager Talk TV.
Play ball. Hot off the press, handicappers from WagerTalk, Sports Memo, and The Gold Sheet have collaborated on the 2023 WagerTalk Media MLB Betting Guide. From World Series odds to regular season win totals and everything in between, this year's betting guide features previews on all 30 teams, all 6 divisions, and season-long awards like the Cy Young, MVP, and Rookie of the Year. Each preview contains key roster acquisitions and departures to help you get up to speed before opening day. Visit wt.buzz/MLB23 to download your free guide, and we'll see you in the batter's box.